What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loud Spot. I'm your host, Sebastian, on the Pantheon Podcast Network. Today's guest is actor, writer, and producer Larry Hankin. Let's go.
Oh, no! Oh, boy! Ah, here it comes! The motherfucking Loud Spot!
Before we get the show started, I do want to remind everybody to please subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on every podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. All right, Larry, you've been an actor, writer, producer, so much more, man. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine so far. Yeah, I mean, the sun is out. I've been out already. It's not too cold. I don't understand. Well, I mean, I do understand it's the climate change, but I mean, California is like supposedly sunny California. Yeah, it is, but it's freezing. Not here, not now. I'm not ready for this.
Depends on what part of California you live. I'm originally from Southern California or Northern California. Southern California is typically, it doesn't really get too hot, I wouldn't say, but the weather's normally pretty nice.
It should be warm. I don't care, but it doesn't have to be hot, just not cold. It's freezing out there.
You in the LA area?
It's less than 60 degrees. That to me is freezing.
What? Before we get into the questions, I do want to play a clip of the pilot episode on Seinfeld where you played Kramer. You got Kramer's role, and this is after the fact that George thinks that you stole a box of raisins, and you're getting annoyed with him. While it's filming the episode of the Seinfeld on Seinfeld. So let's play that clip right now. Here we go.
Do you remember when you came in to audition for us?
Yeah.
There was a box of raisins on the coffee table. Did you, by any chance, take them with you when you left?
What are you talking about?
Well, we were all eating the raisins, and I remember you were eating some of the raisins, and then you left, and the raisins were gone. And I was just wondering if, maybe you took them with you.
Are you accusing me of stealing the raisins?
Oh, no.
Now, why would I steal a box of raisins?
No, you wouldn't. Nobody would. It's just that they were missing, and, well, I'm just inquiring.
Let me give you a word of advice, okay? I want you to stay away from me. I don't want to talk to you, and I don't want to hear any more of your stupid little notes and suggestions. I don't like you. So if you got any other problems, whether it's raisins, prunes, figs, or any other dried fruit, just keep it to yourself and stay out of my way, okay?
All right. I don't think we're going to have any problem with that. Good talking to you, Tom. Really.
All right, so I watched that, and I was wondering, when you're doing shows, do you ever ad-lib? When you said prunes, figs, was that something that you had to memorize those, or were you allowed to kind of ad-lib? Is there any ad-libbing allowed?
Well, I didn't ad-lib any of that. I don't like to ad-lib, so I don't. I mean, if I have to, I will. But I like when it's written down and I can memorize it. I have dyslexia, so it's hard for me to memorize lines. But I do, I mean, it just takes me a longer time than normal people. Normal people. Yeah, but and also I probably, Larry David, who writes most of the shows, I guess, with Jerry, I don't think he would appreciate, ad-libbing, because improvising, as we call it in the business, because he writes such great dialogue that it doesn't occur to me. It wouldn't occur to me. It didn't occur to me to improvise anything that Larry David writes. He's pretty good. Now, in his show, the new one, Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's all improv. But then he doesn't write it. He just writes down little things on a piece of paper, because I auditioned for the show. And they gave me a little piece of it. It said, you do the dance coming out of the elevator, where, two people try to get around one another.
Right.
But so that was all. And I had to improvise it, which I did. but that I was instructed to, and there was no words. But if he wrote it, I'd read it. I'd say it.
Is it hard not to laugh when you're on someone's? You've got some serious roles also, like in Breaking Bad, but a lot of stuff you've done with Friends and Seinfeld. A lot of it's kind of comedy based episodes. How hard is it not to? Or I guess people probably do laugh when you're in the middle of saying something, you forget your lines. Is it pretty laid back on sets like that where it's a comedy type based episode?
Well, you know, it's really hard to say because each show is totally different. It's just as different as you're meeting one person and then you meet another person. I mean, there's no rule about, but as far as me personally, I find nothing funny. So it doesn't matter what you say or what I say. It's very hard to make me laugh. I see no humor in I see no humor in the world. I mean, basically what we're talking about is, hey, that's funny, that's funny. Well, in that context, all I see is stupidity. That's all.
But hold on. So you mean so you don't ever watch like a comedy show and laugh because even when you're acting, your character is kind of a dry character, whether you're playing a comedy role or a serious role. You kind of have that dry
Right.
sound to yourself. So that's just your natural personality then. So you don't find comedy funny. You don't ever laugh out loud going to a
No, I mean,
comedy
I
show.
recognize it that is stupid. If you're trying to make me laugh or you're a comedian, you're a stand-up comedian. Yeah, sometimes I stand a comedian because I used to be one, and I enjoy that kind of presentation of context. I don't know, facts, whatever, monologue. But I enjoy that. A stand-up comedian. So I'll, ha ha ha. But that's about it. I mean, my life is. I've been a funny guy ever since I was born. So I mean, there's just so much laughing that one person has within one's lifetime, and I think I've used it up. I just, it's I understand the comedy. If you say something funny, blah blah blah, or if we're talking, yeah, and it just comes out of a conversation where there's no planning to it. We're just talking, and it turns funny. Yeah, I laugh because it's instantaneous, and I'm unprepared for it. We're not supposed to be laughing. You say something, it's funny, I laugh. But presentation of humor, like sitcoms, episodics, and stuff like that. I mean, I've seen it. I think I've seen it all. Of course, I haven't seen it all, but I think I do. I believe I do. And so, yeah, that's funny, and I'll register it in my head as, wow, that's funny. But that's what I do. I register it as, wow, that's funny, because I try to write it and do it. So I immediately break it down into this part. How did he do that? What was the setup? What was the way he set that up, and then he paid it off. That's funny, but not to me. I mean, what you're talking about is, does it make me laugh? That's
Right.
what you're asking.
Right.
Not very much, but I do understand and appreciate comedy. Yeah.
Would you say that because you've been doing comedy, I guess you started in the 60s doing stand-up comedy, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but because you've done so much and seen so much and heard so many different things, it's scripted and things like that. Does it take away the element of surprise or makes you feel like it's not as funny because the work that went into it? Does that ruin comedy if you're in the industry?
Does it ruin comedy?
Mm-hmm.
No, doesn't ruin comedy. It just changes the way I perceive and process it. But in other words, okay, if you and me are watching the same thing, you and I are watching the
That's
same.
right. That's right.
Yeah, if you and I are watching the same comedy thing, episode, a stand-up, whatever, and the person or the show does something funny, and you laugh, ha ha, wow, wow, wow. and I don't.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that I didn't get it or don't appreciate it as much as you. It's just my reaction to it is different. But my perception of, wow, that's really funny. Wow, it made Sebastian laugh, and it made me think that's really funny. So I get it just like you do. I
Right.
just don't react like you do because I've left myself out. I mean, this, I mean, but if it happens spontaneously, but like, well, to address your question,
Mhm.
because I'm in the industry,
Mhm.
no, it just changes the way I react to it. That's what the change is. I'm in the industry. I write it. I'm all around it. I hang around with funny people. I like to be with funny people because of the way that I perceive reality, because the way they perceive reality.
Mhm.
I like that way of thinking. Like engineers might like to hang around engineers because of the way they perceive cars or reality in a mechanical way, and I look at it in a funny way.
Right.
I'm attracted, I'm drawn to stupidity. I mean, the way it should work and the way it doesn't work, that those two ironies, when they come together, that's funny to me. Yeah, I break it down. I just do it automatically. You take two things that are not funny, but every once in a while, if with emotional
Mhm.
process, you put them together, and the irony makes you laugh. Oh, I never looked at it that way. That politics is full of that.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you still do stand-up comedy?
I want to go back to it because I love it.
Has your
It's the
stand-up
greatest.
has your stand-up changed from when you first started doing comedy? And if you're going to go on stage, let's say next week, has your writing, obviously I guess you would probably evolve and change, but is your humor still the same as it was when you first started?
Yeah, it's just goes to another level because I know more about the subjects now. When I was like 20, but the way I do comedy and the way I write it, or the stand up or act it or whatever, is the exact same thing as when I first got my first laugh, on stage.
Mhm.
It was the way I perceive reality, and the way I then what is it called? You know, break it down into its parts, and then
Okay.
put it back together again to show it to you as a presentation of stand-up comedy.
Right.
The difference is, when I started out in college, I was funny all my life,
Mhm.
but it was because I told jokes. In other words, that to me was funny. And in public school and high school, I read joke books. Jokes like uh, Playboy had a joke page. And they also had the centerfold. Well, I
Yeah,
always
I don't think I've ever read a Playboy magazine. I think I've
well,
looked
it's
at
before
it.
your time. It's before your time. But
I can't hear
well,
you, Sam.
what is Sam doing here? Hey,
I don't know.
Sam,
I
what,
can't
Uh,
hear what
what,
you're
what are
saying.
you?
that's because Sebastian was too busy looking at the Playboy instead of
The
actually reading
centerfolds.
it.
I'm looking at the centerfolds, not reading the articles. Yeah, back then.
Okay, so Sam is welcome to the show.
No, he knows. He knows. He knows.
So no, in other words, it's two things happen. I see something that I think that's odd, that's funny, that's weird, that's strange, that's something that I would like to talk about on the stage.
Mhm.
Like, okay, podcasts. I'm going to talk about podcasts because they're interesting. Okay, so I get up on the stage, but then I break it down. Like, okay, what's and I have nothing in mind now, but I mean, like, I would. Because it's okay. There's nothing weird or strange, or I'm doing a podcast. But if I see something that's odd or ironic or something in life, then I'll find something that I can put it next to, so that the oddness is magnified. I guess
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. It has to be compared to something, and also the viewer has to understand what I'm talking about. In other words, if I go to Israel, or if I go to Yugoslavia, I might not get the same reactions because they don't have the same point of view to reality that I do in America. They might, if I make
That's
like,
true. That's true, because people in different countries have different perceptions of things, and one joke might work here and one joke might not work there.
Right.
Same goes with different states too, though. You can make a joke in California,
exactly.
and
Well,
joke in Kansas may not work out as good.
Well, I used to run into that when I was doing stand-up because I used to open for Woody Allen, and that was great because I was starting out. So I would just do kind of white bread humor, just don't insult anybody, don't curse, don't do drug humor.
That's not fun.
Clean stuff.
That's not fun. You want to do all the dirty jokes and the
well,
drug jokes.
but no. In the beginning, I needed somebody to get customers in the door. Nobody
like guidance to get your way in there, right?
So I opened for Woody Allen. So he has a big crowd. Now in the beginning, when I had just had beginner's humor, I didn't think too much about stuff. So the stuff that I thought about was on this level, and everybody got it. Just ordinary, normal humor. And Woody had this weird twist to reality. So, okay, they came to see Woody, but they'll laugh at me. But then as I started to grow and started to watch Lenny Bruce and Bill Burr and Joe Coy and Richie Pryor and George Carlin, I started to think about outside the box, and what about drugs, and what about the law, and what about politics, and what about other things. And then I stopped getting laughs with Woody's comedy, and I had to leave opening for Woody because they weren't my audience. I had to find my own audience so I could keep on doing what I wanted to do, and they got it. So it doesn't even have to be states or countries. It could be audiences that are different.
And that makes sense. So let's say you're opening up for Woody Allen. Let's say you're opening up for Bill Burr, whoever.
Yeah.
If you're the opening act, you're opening up for them.
Yeah.
Are there jokes that you would leave out of?
No, I never left anything out.
You never edited what you were saying depending on who was the headliner that night.
No, not really. I'd prefer to get pulled off the stage by cops. That's what happened. I don't change anything. I mean, one time in Northwestern and Washington University, I did a tour with the Lovin' Spoonful, so I was the opening act. So when we got to Washington University, they booed me off the stage and called the police. And the police, 20 police, came and pulled me off the stage. Well, they didn't pull me off the stage. They came on the stage and said, do you want us to pull you off the stage, or do you want to walk off the stage yourself? And I said, I'll walk off with you. You don't have to pull me off.
What did they pull you off for? With drug jokes? Or
I was going to talk about and say the word, I never got to it, penis. Yeah. What was God? I said, okay, I was getting laughs. I was doing clean material, and everybody's fine. It was an arena show, the Lovin' Spoonful, and I said, okay, because I was getting good laughs, and I said, okay, let's talk about God now. And all of a sudden, man, I could feel about 20,000 sphincters snap shut, and everybody just quieted down. It's just like the audience went dead, and I thought, wow, man, what was that all about? Or what is this all about? Mm-hmm. And so I better kept on talking. I said, okay, so we're going to talk about God now. Something happened. Audience changed. Mm-hmm. And I go, okay. So, and then I said, I'm God. And I had a microphone, and I said, so I got this little guy, and I put him on the top of the microphone. And I said, okay, hey, guy, I'm God. And okay, so we're going to talk a little. Where's your clothes? You don't have any clothes on. What's that between your legs? That's when the cops showed up. So I never said penis, but I said, what's that between your legs? And the audience started to boo. Boo, boo, boo. And I said, what are you booing about? I didn't even say anything bad. And then they started to yell even louder. Boo! These are college kids. Boo, boo, don't. And then they started yelling, the clean stuff, do the clean stuff. So I started to talk. So I just dropped the farce of being a stand-up comedian. And I was just a guy standing on the stage. And I started hollering at them, at these, about this. I said, what are you booing about? You're a college crowd. You should be into this stuff. What happened to sex, drugs, and rock and roll? What the hell is wrong with you people? And they shut up and they listened to me. And they said, okay, I'm gonna continue now. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I said, okay, we got the little guy and on the thing, what's that between your legs? And boom, it was a riot. So they started to pull off the armrests on the chairs. It was an old auditorium. And they started to pull off the armrests and throw them at me.
Oh my God.
I mean, yeah, the whole first and second row. And get off the stage, get off the stage. And the first time when I just said God, now I found that this later. But the first time that I said, okay, now we're going to talk about God, and that quiet, when it went down quiet, everybody shut up. The dean of the college of Washington University was standing in the back, to see the show, see Love and Spoonful, whatever. And he called the cops right then. He said, we're going to talk about God now. So it was religion that I couldn't talk about. So he called, but the other stuff too. Right, but in other words, it was just not my audience or not the dean's audience. Not the dean wasn't my audience.
Right.
So the dean called the cops right then. He said, get the cops down here. And I heard this. This was given to me. This is verbatim what he said. There's a filthy-mouthed comedian on the stage. That's what he told the cops. So the cops showed up. Now, by the time he hung up, what are you going to...
I don't know why they would call the cops instead of just leaving the show and then coming back when you were off stage. It doesn't make sense. I guess maybe back...
Wait, stop. Say that again. I don't get it.
I don't know why they would call the police on you instead of just leaving the show and then coming back when you were not on stage anymore. I don't know why they would call the police if there's a filthy mouth comedian. That's no reason to call the cops, I wouldn't think.
Oh, you wouldn't think.
I wouldn't think so. Yeah, no.
Oh, who the fuck are you?
Oh, okay, that's true. But I would think it's stupid.
That's stupid. Hey, welcome to my world. You see what I'm dealing with?
Yeah.
Do you see? I can't. I'm like you. What the fuck is going on, man?
Yeah.
But and when I hollered at I literally said, "What is going on? You are college students. You're supposed to be sex, drugs, and rock and roll." I confronted them on the stage, 2,000, 5,000, whatever it was, and they shut up and listened to me like good college students. They listened to me. They didn't boo that. But and then I stopped. I said, "Okay." And everything was quiet. I said, now I'm going to continue. Now I'm God, and boo, boo, boo. And it was a riot. And that's what the Love and Spoonful wanted, because they kept on saying, talk about God more. They were hollering because they wanted a riot, the publicity,
right.
Sex, drug. But you are right. See, but what your question does, and where you and I split, is instead of saying, what the fuck is going on? I go, I'm going to talk about this at the next show. This is comedy material.
Right.
So I did. That's what I did. And the next show, Northwestern, I talked about what I just went through. And that became a hunk, became a bit. So I don't throw out stupidity. I use stupidity. Whereas you would say, hey, why don't you just get the fuck out? You don't have to listen to me. There's two different ways. I say, okay, I'll shut up now and I'll use it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's probably pretty smart. I want to go into your acting. You've been acting for a long time. Done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we looked it up, over 150 films, TV shows, things
Easy.
like that. What was has there ever been a role that you turned down that you thought later on that maybe you should not have turned that down?
No, I never did that. And I never second guessed myself. No.
Okay.
I turned down a lot of shows for a lot of reasons. Sometimes I turned down a show because it was too stupid or silly or not my humor. I don't want to do this. Or maybe it was just I had to do something that I didn't want to do. I jump off a cliff. I don't know, whatever. But it was just something didn't appeal to me. I mean, you got to have. When I first started in show business, I didn't turn down anything, man. I just needed the money. I needed the jobs. You don't turn down, part-time jobs, which is what acting is.
Yeah,
it's part-time work. So yeah, you need another job to have that job. So I never turn down anything. And then one day, my agent called. He said, "I got another job for you." I go, "Okay, what is it?" I was getting tired of saying yes all the time. But I thought that you had to do that. For some reason in my mind, I guess my upbringing, if you turned down something, it would make people mad and they wouldn't like you and you would be out of the business.
Yeah, and I guess when you first start, we're going to take a little quick sponsored break, and then we'll be right back. And I want to talk about acting and turning down roles, especially when you first start. So here's our sponsored ad, and we'll be right back.
Time is everything, and convenience and quality matter the most. Now, you have an affordable, nationwide, online medical solution for over 50 services in which you can be treated by a board-certified doctor from the comfort of your home. For only $49.99, your doctor appointment is taken care of via telehealth. Quick and easy, Jiffy Doctor is here to serve you with excellence, with same-day appointments as well as discounted prescriptions. We treat services from sinus infections, common colds, anxiety, insomnia, birth control, dermatology, erectile dysfunction, STDs, and women and men's health treatments. Sign up today for $49.99 and have your prescriptions delivered to your home if you choose. Jiffy Doctor has served tens of thousands of happy patients, and we are happy to now serve you. JiffyDoctor.com, your new, convenient, and affordable medical solution. Stay home, stay safe, and avoid the wait. JiffyDoctor.com.
All right, and we are back. Sam's joining us on the second half of this episode. And what I was going to ask you before we took that sponsored break was, is it harder to turn down roles when you first start acting because you want as many roles as you can get to get recognition? But is it easier then to turn them down after you feel like you've accomplished enough to be
I was instructed. No, I was instructed. I was brought up as a very well-mannered, good child. So I had to burn.
I believe it. I believe it. He looks like a well-mannered. He seems like he's always been well-mannered and mild-mannered his whole entire life.
No, I think he's been messing with you this whole entire time.
I don't think so. I don't know.
But when I got into Greenwich Village, I graduated college. So I was good until I graduated college. Then I said, okay, I fulfilled my obligation to my parents. It's over, Mom and Dad. You are just two people who raised me. Thank you. I love you. Goodbye. And I just went out into the world, and I never looked back. And much to the consternation of my parents, I'm sorry to say now, they passed a long time ago, but I couldn't take it anymore. This goodness, this righteousness. So, okay, so turning down jobs. An agent called me and said, I got another job. And I was about up to here with this goodness of being good to the industry, trying to not curse in the wrong place or, blah, blah, blah. So I said, what do I have to do for this job, this new acting job? And he said, well, blah, blah, blah. And you got about costume and stuff. And I go, oh man, I just don't want to do this anymore. I mean, that's what I said to him. And he said, well, then don't do it. I said, well, but I have to, don't I? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, if I turn it down, they won't hire me again. I said, what are you, crazy? He said, that's not how Hollywood works. No, you can turn down anything you want. And then he said something that I remembered the rest of my life. And he said, Larry, You got to have a no, man. You got to be able to turn down shit. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah, that's how naive I was. And he goes, yes. Now, do you want to do this job or not? And I said, and then, no, before he said that, he said, I'll tell you what, turn down this job, give me a no, and when you hang up, you're going to feel a lot different and a lot better. Okay? And I go, okay. And he says, now, do you want to do the job or not? And I go, no. And he says, okay, I'm going to tell him that you don't want to do the job. Thank you. Click. And I thought, yeah. Okay. Done and done. And I never looked back on that. So yeah, I don't think about it. I either like the job and I want to do it, or I don't like the job and I don't want to do it. I mean, it's just very simple. There's no other thing.
And I don't know. I'm not an actor and I suck at acting. Even if I tried to act, I'd be horrible at
acting. It has nothing to do with liking it or not. Do you want to be a podcaster or not?
Well, yeah. Well, I just talk to people naturally, so it's a little bit different. It's not whether I want to be. If I'm not podcasting, I'm talking to strangers anyway, so I might as well do it on film. You know.
Okay. But if you talk to a stranger and he punches you, do you want to talk to him anymore?
Depends.
Yeah, he probably will. He probably will.
He might have had a bad day. I don't know.
Okay, but is there anybody that you don't want to talk to? Is there anything that you don't want to do?
I don't
ever.
Yes, there are.
Okay, then that's it. Don't say, well, I've never been an actor. I would never tell. Yeah, because you're not an actor. Because you don't want to be an actor. In front, I fooled myself into thinking, yeah, that's a cool job. And then once
now,
I got
did this job kind of come from the? Did this job kind of, because you graduated as a kind of like an engineer,
industrial designer. That's what I am.
Industrial. So and then how did the acting come apart? Because you ended up joining like a tribute.
Fell into it. It was just another job. I needed money to pay the rent. Carl Gottlieb was my room. I graduated as industrial designer. I didn't want to go to college. My parents wanted me to go to college. I'm a good son. I'll go to college. So they say, pick out a college and you can go. I said, well, I want to go out of town. You can't go out of town. You have to be here so we can get to you. That was the one thing I didn't want to happen. So I said, no, I want to go out of town. She said, well, that's going to be difficult. We have to pay a lot of money. You're out of town. So we're going to have to judge whether you can go, pick a college and we'll tell you. So I picked a lot of colleges and no, you can't go there. You can't go there. Too much, too far, whatever. And then finally I got to Syracuse and I saw industrial design and I saw design, not industrial. So I thought, oh, that's an art school. So I thought, well, that's upstate. That's kind of close. So I said, what about Syracuse University Industrial Design? Now, my father knew exactly what that was. That was a career. So, I could support him in his old age. So he said, oh, yeah, you can go to Syracuse. Industrial design, that's fine. Because I wanted to go to art school. This is art. That's my stuff. So he said, fine. And I said, great, I'm going to art school. And when I got there, because I didn't do any research, I was given everything,
Sounds like me. I don't do research on shit.
Yeah. So it sounds like what?
Sounds like me. I said I never do research on anything.
Yeah. So I never did. So when I got there, I found out that, oh my God, industrial design involves not design, but calculus and engineering and math and whoa. But, I thought, oh, I'm a good son. I said I was here. They spent a lot of money. I'll do it. So it was a 5-year course, man. I just hunkered down and did it. But boy, was it hard.
What's the biggest?
Wait. I thought just in 4 years. So
5. No, it was 5. No, industrial design is 5 years. It's an extra year.
Yeah, it's a lot of learning. A lot of learning, Sam.
and I signed up for it because I thought it was an art school. So I said 5 years in art school, incredible. Boom. But I wouldn't quit. I won't quit. I don't quit.
What's and for actors, I would just assume that it's hard, especially if you're not really if you're not big in the scene, because you got to pay your own taxes, and if you only get roles here and roles there, it's probably pretty difficult, right? So what would you say was one of your first biggest paychecks that you got where you felt like, I could do this, maybe I could survive, and until my next
from Alcatraz.
Oh, Escape from Alcatraz.
That was my first big job where I thought, wow, that was my first big movie. I mean, I never made a movie before.
What's the checks on something like that? You give us a roundabout number.
$35,000.
$35,000, and he didn't blow it like he wanted to.
And I didn't blow it. I blew it on my first film that I made myself, which was called Solly's Diner, which got an Academy Award nomination. Right so the money was well spent.
Right on. Has there ever been an actor that you wanted to act with that you have not yet had a chance to?
I'm out. I don't want to work. I'm out, man. There's nobody I want to work with. They will. If somebody wants to work with me,
right?
Fine, but I'm out. I'm not retired. I got out. I'm writing a book now. I'm writing books. I write books now. I mean, acting is too unmerciful. Your
book's coming out soon, which I wanted the book before this episode because I wanted to read it.
Oh, it's not out. It won't come out
supposed to be out by now, but it's not yet.
Yeah, it's when it comes out, it's coming out in March. So give me a couple of months and I can come back, and we'll talk about how it's doing.
It's called That Guy. Is that the name of the book?
That Guy, because that's what I'm known on the street because of all the parts I've done. Is it, hey, you're that guy. Hey, it's that guy. But so I thought that's a great title for a book, man.
Yeah,
and that's what gave me the idea for the book. I go, that guy, yeah.
When I was talking to people about you coming on the show, I was showing pictures like, oh, that guy. That's literally what they said. That guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's such a great title. Somebody said that to me. Oh, you're that guy. And I thought, oh, that's a great title for a book. But then when I put the title on the book, everybody said, that's a great title. Where'd you get that from? Well, people told me that. I don't know.
It's like that's all natural. That's what that is. That's all natural. That's what I have to live with. That guy.
Do a lot of actors have different personalities? Like, cause you see actors, you see them do interviews, then you meet them in person or you're on a set with them. Is there anyone that you've met that is just completely different than who you thought they were going to be in person?
Well, no, because not that they don't exist or not that that's not true, but that I never saw both sides. Either I was acting with them and I never saw them again, so I saw how they are as an actor, or they were my friends and I hung out with them, but I never acted with them. That's a crapshoot about what jobs you get. So I had my friends are actors because of stage acting. Stage acting is a little more convivial, more friendly. I mean, not more friendly, but you get to see both sides because you rehearse for a long time.
Right.
You generally, can hang out with them later on because there's no difference in salaries and not that great. I mean, if I'm acting with Clint Eastwood, I'm not going to hang out with Clint Eastwood. He's got just too much money and too much stardom. I mean, I'm not at his level, But if I'm acting with Sam or you, then we can hang out afterwards. And then, but you're a podcaster, so you're official.
Do people make friends? You ever seen someone make friends with somebody? Like, let's say there's just a side actor there who's just there for like whatever role they're going to play for 5 seconds. And then you have the main actor who's involved in the show or the movie. Do you ever see a friendship form, or is there just, you're not supposed to talk to this person because they're so much better than you?
Yeah. It only happened really once. Well, maybe twice. With Penny Marshall and with Aaron Paul. Years apart, two different type of things. But Penny Marshall came up to the committee when I was in San Francisco, stage actor, improv. And she saw me and she recommended me. So Penny Marshall, in a way, discovered me. She was the one who got me out of San Francisco. She wanted me to be a dance partner with her in a Laverne and Shirley show. So this is when I was young and beginning. So she got me an agent and I became an actor because of her in Hollywood. She got me down to Hollywood. And through that show, I got other things. Okay. So the pay was good. So I figured I'd stay down here and it would be great. And I'd be a star. And then, but there were certain roles and the dyslexia and ADHD and I have an attitude problem and blah, blah, blah. And I just want to be me, you know, and fuck the rest. And I don't like to be manhandled. I mean, but psychologically, you know what I'm saying? Psychologically.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, wait, this is gonna go dark. This is gonna go dark.
No. So you know, so I didn't rise up through the ranks because I wouldn't play the game. I mean, I'm not a game player,
right?
You know, I don't play. I just want to do my job and go home and, you know, whatever.
You seem very just kind of like a guy who's just bleh. You're just living your life. You're just acting, and you're just like, if something good happens, it does. If something doesn't happen, you just take it with a grain of salt. Like, fuck it, whatever.
Not quite.
No, I got you completely. I got you completely wrong. Your attitude kind of.
I mean, kind of. No, I mean, kind of.
Okay.
But if you read the book, you'll see my life is not that at all.
That's the problem. I didn't read the book. It's not out yet.
But yeah, so no, in other words, I go through long periods of time where nothing happens and that's fine with me. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't go out looking for trouble. However, if I do go out, trouble finds me really fast.
Well,
I know
you're that guy, so it's gonna find you when you're that guy.
And we really tried to find some controversy. The worst thing we found was the Friends controversy of the reunion.
Oh, well,
and the new producers.
See, that's why I never became a star, because I do that kind of shit. But that's not. No, I'm talking about. Look, and it's in the. It's not. It's well, only one is. But there's three times in my life where I said the wrong thing and I was going to be killed. I'm being killed, dead. One with a knife and two with a gun. So, I mean, I don't look for trouble, but it shows up and I say the wrong thing. So, and
familiar,
so it's a very schizophrenic life. It's not like this. It's like this. And
but wouldn't you say life? Wouldn't you say kind of life is like that? It's up and then it'll go down and then it'll go up.
No,
because that's how my life is.
Your life is like this, right? That's what you just said.
My life's kind of like this,
right?
And your life is like this. My life is like this.
Oh,
in other words, I've been like when I wrote a book, I locked myself, and also it was during COVID, so it was about 1.5 years ago that I wrote the book. But it was COVID, so I just sat in the house and I wrote. No bother, no, you know, fine. So I'm sitting in the house for 3 months. And I'd go out for supplies and I'd have coffee with somebody. You know, you need a little human contact. Well, once in a while I'd go out. But basically for 3 months, I did nothing. Nobody knew I was alive. So I wrote because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But then when I go out, you know, then that's when I say the wrong thing, or I hook up with the wrong people, or I go for the wrong ride, or
I do that all the time.
I hit somebody, you know.
I'm always hanging out with the wrong people, saying the wrong things. And I have a podcast. I constantly say the wrong things. Like when I said you're like this, you're like, no, not really. I'm like, yeah, well, fuck. I just screwed that up.
No, because me sitting here talking to you for the half hour or however long we're talking about, you would get that impression. I understand it totally.
That's true, because there's a whole, that's right. We only get a snippet of our guest in their life, and I can only compare you to what I see for the last 45 minutes.
So what we were talking about, you know, Laverne and Shirley, Penny Marshall, and
Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul. Well, with Laverne and Shirley, because we rehearsed a lot, we became friends, but we never worked together, and I never hung out with her. We became real people in rehearsal. That was all. I saw, you know, Penny Marshall, hey, let's do this. How about that? Blah, blah, blah. And we were, you know, it was two of us alone on the stage. And when we were just two people, and I thought, this is the way art is done. It's creative. It's sharing. Okay, that's one thing. Aaron Paul is years later, on the end of my time in Hollywood, when I was doing Breaking Bad, and I had I don't know where it happened. I think it was in the movie El Camino.
Okay.
Yeah, Breaking Bad movie.
Oh yeah.
So I had a lot of time because I only had that one scene to walk around, to drive the truck up, walk around his stolen car, and then get in and drive away. So it was only like maybe 2 hours of shooting, but I had to be there the whole day. So I hung around where Aaron Paul was shooting, which was on a set. So in between shots, me and Aaron would talk. In between his shots, between him working, and we and then we started to laugh together and talk and just be friends. And then he said, "Hey, let's do a movie together." And I thought, "Yeah, that's cool, man. Let's do a movie together." So that's kind of been up in the air. We never got together after that, but for that whole day, we were just buddies.
Is there a favorite film that you've done that you really enjoyed? And you watch, maybe? I don't know. Is there something that you?
Well, there's a lot for different reasons. Some the parts, some the director, some where we were. Escape from Alcatraz was a trip because I was there for 3 months, and the director was like my grandfather, man. I mean, we were just a family. Just I was like his, or like an old uncle,
right?
Because I would just hang around with him, and he would treat me like a grandson, not like a friend. He would treat me like a grandson. Like he would chastise me, or he would put me on, or because I would always be in costume.
He's always talking shit. He's chastising me all day over here.
Yeah, but it was friendly. He had white hair, and he was shorter than me. So there's a difference.
I would love to see a movie. I'd love to see Tommy Chong. We'll soon have on. I'd love to see Larry and Tommy do a movie or some kind of art together.
Well,
what do you think, Larry?
I mean, that's fine, but we'd also have to get along together. Now you can't predict that. I mean, we'd have to get along.
Yeah,
that's the important thing. Not that you would like to see. Yeah, you would like to see blah 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 and blah blah. But can that happen? And once they get together, there's no predicting. So I don't go by that. I go by either, if you pay me enough, I'll act with anybody. I mean, what the fuck? I'm an actor.
Fucking pay me, bro. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and I spent my younger years, 15, 20 years with my parents,
Is there a lot of
get along with Tommy Chong? Come on.
He seems like a laid back guy. You seem like a laid back guy. You guys probably get along.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think you guys are killing each other.
No. I mean,
knives and guns.
No, but it's up to me. I'm a laid back guy. It's just that I get into situations where I could be killed.
Is there an actor you do not want to work with, or you're like, I never want to work with that guy?
He's not going to say that. He's not going to say that.
You don't know. He might say it. Like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, Sebastian.
You don't work with me.
Yeah, there is an actor.
Okay, that's.
I'm trying to think of his name. See, it shuts his name down.
What role?
Adam Sandler.
Oh, Adam Sandler. Haven't you worked with him in the past? Yeah, and what's wrong with Adam Sandler? My dad doesn't care for
he's not a good guy.
He's not a good
asshole.
He's not a good guy.
He's like you.
I'm not an asshole.
Yeah, on most days.
He's rude.
Is he?
Yeah. He has no social. He hangs around with his gang. His sycophants. I don't respect anybody like that.
Yeah. Has he done anything to you personally that you just didn't care for?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Exactly. It wasn't like he just made this up.
I'm trying to get it out of him, okay? I'm trying to get it out of him.
It's just being around him. He's just a rude person. He has no social. Period. I don't know. You either do it his way or you don't exist. I guess I don't know how to explain it. It's just I don't get along with him. From the minute I met him to the things that he's done, like okay. Well, I'll give you a very soft one. I won't give him a hard.
We'll do it.
I'll give you a soft one. He called me after the movie was over. Yeah, months and months, maybe a year after the movie. He called my agent and he said, because he does respect me as an actor. I know that.
Sure.
But so he called and he said, when is Larry available? My brother is making a movie and I'd like Larry, I'm going to recommend Larry do the movie. So is he available for this week in New York City? And I was in Hollywood. So that was the message. Is Larry available to fly to New York City to be in my brother's movie? I want to recommend him. And I said, well, I'm on a movie now. I was on a movie, but it ends tomorrow. So he said, can he fly here tomorrow? That was the request. Can he fly to New York tomorrow to see my brother? So I said, wow, I'm on a movie now, but how about the next day? Because tomorrow is my last shooting day, but I can catch a plane in the morning and I can be there in New York. And Adam, my agent called him and said, how about the next day? And he said, no, forget it. And that was it. And I thought, man, I don't want to. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Adam, for calling and inquiring. But your turn down was just a little too weird. I'll use the word weird instead. But that was just one of many things that happened while making the movie. But that kind of thing, where it's on and off. There's no. I don't get his transitions or how he deals with people. He's just rude. I mean, that's the best thing I can say about him.
Maybe some people get arrogant.
Now here's what I've just done. Adam owns Hollywood. He can get any movie made right now as we talk. Right. Adam is a big fucking star, as big or maybe not, or maybe bigger than Clint Eastwood. And I'm not kidding around. Really? I'm not making that up. As far as power behind the scenes,
okay,
getting a green lighted movie, no sweat. But so I give him his props, but I guess what I was saying is this may hurt me in the business, what I just told you, because he's that powerful. It's like me dissing Clint Eastwood or dissing, I don't know who's a star. I don't keep track.
Well, we can edit it. So.
No. I mean, I got to own it. I mean, if I said it,
they only have one viewer, anyways. So I think we'll be. I think we'll be okay. We get one listener every once a year. We get one listener. It happens.
And it's just his wife.
It's Adam Sandler. Actually, he's the only one who listens to my podcast. No, it's my wife.
But I've actually heard the same thing in St. Louis when he was filming over there. There was a lot of the actor friends that were involved in that movie, and they said it's not as nice as I thought he was going to be. Now, granted, he's got his, and so you're not saying anything that's hidden. There's a lot of things hidden in Hollywood that we all know. They've been out there from the.
But that's the kind of. There's no dirt on me, but that's the kind of who does he not get along with?
I've had that in my ear the whole time, and no one said anything about that. Thanks.
What's that? What is
I had a cigarette in my ear the whole time. A cigarette. I didn't know it was in my ear. I didn't know it was in my ear. So I just looked at myself finally. I'm like, oh crap. Got one of those in my ear. I want to play the Friends clip real quick. Let's talk about Friends, and then we'll get you out of here.
Cool. Because I got things to do, man.
Huh?
I know. He's got artwork.
I got places to go. I got trouble to find me.
That's right, Sebastian.
This is where you are. I think you're going to be Chandler's roommate, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I like this.
Okay, here, just a little less than a minute long. Here we go.
Mr. Heckles, no one is making any noise up here.
You're disturbing my oboe practice.
You don't play the oboe.
I could play the oboe.
Then I'm going to have to ask you to keep it down.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm going to be Chandler's new roommate.
I'm Chandler's new roommate.
I don't think so.
I could be Chandler's new roommate.
But he told me over the phone.
He told me in person.
That's weird.
Well, I'm going to go into my new apartment now. Huh?
That was a pretty funny scene, and the way you reacted to that. It must have been great working with on the set of Friends with all those people. Everyone on that set seems like, I've seen interviews with them and stuff after the show, and everyone seems like a pretty okay person. I don't know. I don't have experience with them. What do you think?
They're okay. I mean, I didn't get along with them. I don't get along with anybody. I'm surprised.
He didn't get along with it. He's not a. I agree with you 100%. I agree that I'm surprised you even got along with us, especially with.
No, I didn't have any contact with them much. I mean, you're rehearsing, you got to, blah. But no, I mean, my whole acting process is I show up, I get in my costume, and I go on, I rehearse, and then I do the show, and then I go home.
He just does his job. He's just doing his job.
Yeah. Well,
because it's a job to me, and that's not my life. That's not my show business. Is not my life.
Right.
That's the whole point. Show business is their life. That's not my life.
And I think Larry's delivery of everything is what makes the whole comedy big.
I know, because like I said earlier, he's just there. He's just doing his job, and like I said earlier, just kind of like,
well, I mean,
I was right. I am right. I say I'm right.
You are right. Yeah.
See, you said I was wrong, but I think I was right. I think I was right.
Well, Larry, we do want to thank you for coming on and sharing some of your stories, because a lot of people don't get these stories out of you guys. So, we appreciate you coming on and sharing these. Oh, no,
it's anytime. Well, when the book comes out, give it a chance to circulate, and then I'll come back. You guys are pretty cool.
I was trying
but
to
that's here.
I am, but not. Yeah, that's no. We're cool out on the street. I'm a truck driver, so you're in the back of a truck in Denver.
Oh, great. Okay, so, I can relate.
That's where I'm at.
I did want to ask you before we get off here, what's your next step? What's besides the book? Is there anything else, any films that are coming out or that you're maybe working on?
No, I mean, I got a friend up in Wisconsin, Kyle, and he's going to direct a movie that I'll be in. So I said I'd be in that movie, and it's a lot of words, and I'll have to, work on memorizing it. But I like him, and I like the script, and I like the part. So
tell him to give me a couple words in there.
And bands don't forget. We interview a lot of bands on this podcast. Bands, don't forget. Larry's been in. He was not only. He was in a band.
Was I? No, I wasn't in a band.
It's a different Larry Hankin.
A ska band.
What is Sam? What are you, Sam? What are you referring to?
So let me set this story real quick.
Okay.
Before you got on, Sam's like, because most of our podcast is mostly rock musicians. Okay, that's what we normally interview. Doing actors and stuff is kind of a newer thing for us. I normally talk to heavy metal guys and punk rock dudes. That's kind of my thing. That's who I am, okay?
Well, I used to open for all those rock bands.
Okay.
I mean, during the 60s, every famous rock band in the world I opened for.
Oh, well, Sam's like, I think Larry Hankin was in a ska band. But he goes, but I'm not sure because there's two Larry Hankins, but your picture is the one, I guess, on this, whatever he was researching. Sam, if you want to because I didn't research it. Sam, he's cutting out. He's in his truck, so his Wi-Fi is kind of getting bad there. But yeah, so we don't talk bands, and he was like, ask if he was in a band. I think it was in the ska band. I don't even know if you know what ska is.
Yeah, I do, but no, I wasn't in a band.
And You never. So that's why he wanted to ask the band question, is because
okay.
we are a rock and roll, for the most part.
Oh, that's why the loud spot. I got it now.
We're loud, man. And I think my first actor I ever interviewed was Lou Ferrigno. And
wow.
I'm horrible. I'm just not good at talking to actors. I'm getting better at it. But I could talk music all day long. I'm a drummer, and
right.
You know.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, you're as far as my interview with you is, you're fine. You're great.
I'm diversifying. I'm learning a little bit. Oh, let me switch this here real quick. So, but yeah, so that's the whole thing that he was talking about. But I love your stories. I thought they were fantastic. Very thorough. I hate when people come on, they don't talk at all, and that's really hard on me. But you did great. So I'm happy that you were on the show. Yeah, and if you do that movie, and when your book comes out, I do want to read it. I want to buy it. I would also probably want to send it to you for an autograph, if that's okay.
Cool.
We'll talk about that later. I stay right there, an hour long already, so stay right there till after the outro song plays. I do want to thank everybody that is involved with the podcast. Thank you to Pantheon Podcasting Network. Also want to thank my producer, Sam. I want to thank Larry Hankin for spending his mid-morning with us out there in California on the show. And subscribe to my stuff. I mean, I'm not that great, but I'm all right. That's all the time we got. Larry, please stay right there. Peace out. Rock on. And much love.
This is the Loud Spot outro by nothing short of tragic. Is this all talk with no action? No. Is this my thoughts with distraction? No. Is this what I bought that's in fashion? Or is this the Loud Spot with Sebastian? Yes. Does nothing short of tragic have his back again? Yes. Does everything that's good really have to end? Yes. A pimp host has to pimp show, so to get more episodes, make an order, this is over.